Fucking OBS always has this problem. I don't know why it dings every time I hit stream. Like, I don't know what's going on. I have to look into it. Whatever. Well, we're live.
All right.
I think I'll leave that in. I don't know. We'll see. uh, yeah. So man. I've had a long week. I haven't been here the past week. Haven't covered any wrestling or anything. This is my first show back. I might do WWE Super Showdown. I don't know. Are you a WWE guy or a wrestling guy at all?
I used to be when I was younger, like of course, like 13 years old. Like when I hit 9, like 15 years old, I was like crazy into it. I always knew it was fake, but it was like my soap opera, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, I kind of got out of it, and I tried to get back into it like a year ago, and I was like, what? Who is this? Who is this Rawlings guy? This guy sucks.
I'll be sure. I'll definitely be sure to leave that in for all the any wrestling fans that might hear this. Yeah, like it's funny that you mentioned the fake word because I've gotten to the point in my life where whenever people are like, "Oh, you're a wrestling fan," you know that's fake, right? I just look at them like I look at them like, and I always ask people this question. I'm like, if you go to a movie, and or you ask someone, "Hey, you want to go see the Avengers?" and that person responds, "Hey, that's fake, right?" What would you say?
I'm like, no shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the same attitude I have towards wrestling. It's like I don't watch it because it's actually people hitting everyone with chairs. It's entertainment value.
Right. Yeah, it's entertainment. I'm like it's just so silly how wrestling's put in this bubble, but everything else is okay. Like it's okay to watch a comic book movie, it's okay to play a video game, but then it's like, oh, you're a wrestling fan. That's fake. It's like, well,
Right.
yeah, of course. Like you don't really think John Wick kills people, right? Like I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but John
Right.
Wick isn't a real killer.
Some people are just, I don't know. Some people are just really closed-minded and stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know, right?
They're cool with superheroes, but you're not okay with the TV show I watch, pretty much.
Right. Exactly, and it's only wrestling too that has that rep. I think I don't know if there's anything else in entertainment or sports that's looked at under the same scope.
And even felt like I was one of those like fake haters. You know what I'm saying? It's like I cannot hate on those guys. Those guys are literally physical freaks.
Mm-hmm.
Like the crap they do and the punishment they take, I couldn't do it 100%. So all on them, bro. They're athletes, 100%.
Yeah, it's like a live circus. Or not a live circus. I don't even know what the hell I'm trying to say. It's like a live movie where they're doing the
Right.
actual stunts.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Yeah, most if you either I think you either get it or you don't. I think
Right.
that's where the bubble falls. But yeah, so let's talk about some real fighting, shall we?
Sounds good.
We had a fight card take place last week, on June 1st on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon rather. Where I was, it was Saturday morning, so that was fun. Let's see. We had in the main event, Anthony Smith defeated Alexander Gustaffson in the 4th round by a rear naked choke. And the real headline to take away that everyone is taking away from this card is after the fight, Gustafson took his gloves off, left him in the cage, and he said he's hanging him up. That's it for him. And a lot of people were speechless. One person who was not particularly speechless was John Jones, who immediately took to Twitter to say that he doesn't believe it, but
Right.
pretty much said what everyone was thinking. He's like, I don't believe it, but hell of a career, and I love doing battle with you.
Right.
And what do you think? Where do you fall? Do you believe it?
I'm not one to believe fighters right after a loss, because at that point emotions are just running like crazy. And the thing that gets me, it's not like Gustafson was losing the fight. You know what I'm saying? He won every round up until that point, until that scramble, and he just made a mistake, and that's what happened. So, and the thing that gets me is like most people when they retire, they put the gloves in the center of the octagon, they make it a big deal, even after they lose. Gustafson just took off his gloves and kind of half-assed threw it on the ground. So to me, that just kind of shows that he didn't really know what he was thinking at that point. It was just kind of in heat of the moment kind of thing. But I mean, if he's got 1 foot out of the door, I say just retire. But in a month or two, if we hear Gustafson saying like, "No, I'm actually done," then I'll believe it then 100%. But right now, I'm just kind of waiting to see what actually is going to happen and how this plays out.
a lot of people were saying that too. With like when Rumble Johnson retired, like that's one of the biggest. That's one of the most recent ones that I can remember. And it seems like he's been, for the most part, pretty much out of it, right?
Right, but Rumble did make a big thing. He tried to get all his coaches together. He had a big speech planned out, you know. So that was a lot more heartfelt than Alexander Gustaffson is going, hey, thanks everyone. Show's over. Throw my gloves on the ground. That, you know, this was a half-assed attempt in my way. Not trying to diss him whatsoever, but it was just very like he didn't care about the moment kind of thing. So that's what kind of gets me a little bit. And it is irks me because he was not doing bad. I will say this though, because last week we chose our picks. I chose Gus, you chose Anthony, and to win. And I said if Gus seems like he's got like any like mental issues when it comes to like not wanting to be there, maybe he's not good enough or whatever, and we would show in this fight. On the stand and the feet, it was a glorious fight for Gustafson. But the second it hit the mat and Gus was on bottom, he didn't move after that. He really did not try to get up. I mean, you watched the fight, little effort, right?
Yeah, he looked depleted. That was kind of similar to the John Jones fight. He looked good on the feet, and then as soon as it got to the ground, there was nothing there from Gustafson.
Which is crazy. Gustafson's fought DC and Jones the first time beforehand, got taken down, and was an animal to keep on the ground. He got right back up. So I'm just confused at this point. It's like, okay, maybe he hit the ground and he's like, it's not worth it no more. Like, I'm not going to work to get up. I lost at this point. I'm on the ground. So if that's the case, then it's like, okay, his foot is halfway out the door. I will believe it. But another part of me is just keeping home. Like maybe he's just injured. Maybe he has a bruised rib or something where it's hard for him to get up. He just hasn't licked his wounds yet. And this is a recurring thing because he gets taken down, gets dominated. But I think him not working hard to get off the ground is a big indicator, though, that he probably is done. He didn't want to work to get back up.
Hold on one sec. Yeah.
Here's your thing for your headset. I gotta buy some crazy glue. But that glue didn't work out.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you notice?
No.
Killer mustache, bro.
Huh?
Killer mustache. Killer stash that guy has.
Oh, my dad, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got an impressive stash. So I'm trying to find the scorecard for this fight though. I can't find what the judges had it.
Had it going to that round. They had it three rounds for Gus.
Really?
Really.
Wow. That's crazy because I don't know. It didn't look like Gus was really running away with it to me, because Anthony Smith was doing a good job countering what Gustafson does with his fancy footwork.
Oh, it wasn't like a blow up by any means, but like there were close rounds. But you know, I had it scored three ways. The judges' scorecards, looking at it right here, you know, Gus is busier, and then you know, listen to Chael Sonnen, Michael Bisping, and Brendan Schaub. They all had it 3 rounds for Gus too as well. So. I mean, you have all those guys going that way. I mean,
yeah. At that point, I got to go with it too. You got all those guys. You know, it's tough. It's tough to argue against some legends like that. But yeah, it's sad either way. You know, Gustafson. I mean, it arguably had the greatest fight in UFC history. I know a lot of people certainly think so. When it comes to his first fight with John Jones, and it's sad to see him go. If this really is it for him, you know, it's just. What a way to go out, right? Losing in your hometown. I
know.
It's a really, really bad way to go out. And imagine if John Jones was not in the light heavyweight division. Gustafson might be running things, so the belt would change hands like a hot potato.
It's just crazy though because like, what was it? MMA Funny? They posted like, one of the greatest of all time at light heavyweight. Thank you, Gustafson, and stuff like that. You know, and I was sitting there like, yes, you know, Gus is one of the best light heavyweights of all time. You know, get rid of Jones and DC. He is the best light heavyweight of all time. So but then to see people's reactions saying like, whoa, one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time, let's slow down there. And that's like literally what the comment section was full of. And I was like, you guys are crazy. Minus DC and Jones, who's really beat him? You know, of course, Rumble did. But other than that, like, no one beats this guy.
So you would put Gustafson over like a Chuck Liddell or Randy Couture, guys like that.
Not over them, but with them.
Okay, I
With
see.
them.
Go ahead, continue.
So it's just crazy. Gus did a lot for the sport. Had that crazy war with John, had a crazy war with DC. He's been so close this entire time. Split decision to DC. A lot of people thought Gus won. A lot of people thought DC won. Really close fight with John Jones. I keep on looking into that, and it seemed like more people thought Gus won than thought that Jones won. So it just seems like he's been this close the entire time, but just a sliver away every time.
And he was in a predicament too in the fight with DC and the first fight with John Jones, where he was the challenger for a belt going in. So
Yep.
A lot of judges and a lot of fans look at it like, well, you got to really beat the champion.
I hate that saying so much. Like, here's the way I look at it. I rant real quick. I don't care if 3 jabs, like if 7 strikes were thrown the entire round. Like, I don't say fucking Gus lands 4 jabs versus DC's 7 jabs and nothing else happens. So if you barely beat the champ, technically by scorecard standards or stat wise, you should be the champion. But people's got this things where you have to beat him, like decisively beat him. I hate that. Even if you barely beat him, doesn't that make you better than a champion?
Yeah, I think so.
I hate this. I hate that discussion. I'm like, what do you mean you have to beat the champ? He just beat the champ. He just beat him. But people are like, no, you got to beat him. It's like, I don't understand your definition of fucking beating people then.
I mean, if anything, if you're gonna look at a fight like Jones and Gustafson, the first one, that fight looks like a draw when you watch it back.
Right.
Right.
I wish more draws would happen. I think it'll make incredible rivalries, or because at the end, I hate don't get me wrong. Most fights there needs to be a winner and there needs to be a loser. But I'm pretty sure you could think of like 5 fights already that's like, nah, both fighters won that fight. So I wish more draws would happen. Like, it's the whole thing with the Tyron Woodley and Stuart Wonderboy Thompson. That first fight should have been a draw. But that second fight, honestly, if the first fight was a draw, that second fight definitely was a draw as well, but they gave Tyron the win. So just give draws. Give draws. I don't think there's anything wrong with draws.
I don't think so either. I don't see an issue with it. I mean, it always leaves the window open for an immediate rematch. It looks better when it's like, oh, these guys went to a draw versus, oh, somebody got beat by unanimous decision and we're gonna give them a rematch. So
right.
It always looks a lot better, and there are times when it's warranted, and there are other times where it's like, yeah, this guy won. You hear the unanimous decision, and in most cases people will agree, fans and media alike will agree, but there are some cases where we're like, I don't know about that one.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Anthony Smith for a minute. He looked great. In that 4th round, he came through, did what he needed to do. Overall, he looked as good as you can look overall when you're facing Alexander Gustafson. That's a tough fight in itself. But he's got some big wins now. He's beat Volkan Ozdemir, he's beat Shogun Rua, now he's beat Alexander Gustafson. He's already challenged for the championship against John Jones, so I don't know where he can go from here.
I think a lot for Anthony, it really depends on who wins this title fight, John Jones or Thiago Santos. If Thiago somehow wins, we're going to see Anthony Smith versus Thiago, the rematch. But I think if Jones wins, Anthony's probably going to have to get another fight, maybe 2. But I think if he gets one more win under his belt, then he'll be able to fight Jones again.
Yeah, I mean, he just came off of beating a killer like Gustafson. You put him in there, maybe Dominic Reyes, and he beats Dominic Reyes. It's going to be hard to say, it's going to be hard to say, no, he's not getting a title shot ever again or for a long time after he beats Dominic Reyes and Alexander Gustafson. But, yeah, 205 is pretty exciting. It would be more exciting if John Jones weren't there. This division would be really jumping off.
I think so, but I don't know, man. And don't get me wrong, when I said earlier that, Gus won 3 rounds, that's not taking away for Anthony Smith like we were saying. He still fought a really good fight. It was really close rounds, really, really close rounds. Right. So to the viewers, don't think I'm trashing on Anthony. I love Lionheart. It's just that, fight's a fight, but it doesn't matter because what happened in the outcome, But it makes me think, you say John Jones, if he was in the division, would be really, really more, I guess, entertaining, or interesting. The thing is, though, there's some killers coming up the division ranks, though. We're starting to see more of the same body type, like with Johnny Walker, Even Lionheart and stuff, the more lanky 205ers starting to make some noise in the division. Even someone who just beat Jimmy Manawa, fucking Alexander Rakic,
Yeah,
whatever
Rakic.
his name is.
Yep.
Rakic. Another long, lanky guy just mollywopped fucking Jimmy Manawa. So
Right, that was one of the scariest knockouts I can remember in any form of combat sports.
oh my gosh. The only thing I could compare it to is Uriah Hall's spinning back kick in The Ultimate Fighter.
Yes.
Like, it was that scary. And for people if that was the first fight you watched, that Uriah Hall fight, that's the first MMA fight what you watched, like, wow, this shit's brutal. It was one of those knockouts. And like, I remember watching this going, oh no, like, that's not good. That is not good at all.
And it was so early in the fight too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that just made it even worse, even scarier, because like not like Manoa took a ton of damage. You know, they were only in the first round, and his body just snapped back and he just went limp. He just went limp for a second. It was like, man, is he gonna get up? You know, it's one of those knockouts where you're like, oh hell yeah, that's so exciting. And then it's like, ooh, man, is he gonna get up? Like, is he all right? Like,
right.
Can we get doctors in there? What's going on? That was tough. That was brutal. And Rakic went from being relatively unknown. You know, now he's found himself in the rankings, at least in the UFC rankings.
Right.
Yeah, I guess we should talk about Jimmy Manoa actually first. He announced his retirement as well.
Yeah. Sad night for hardcores. Sad night for hardcores.
Yeah, two really great light heavyweights went down in the same night, and I think Jimmy Manoa's retirement seems a little bit more legit. You know,
You're right.
Because he's a little bit older, and he's been in some really nasty fights. He's been knocked out a couple times, where it looked brutal. So this one feels a little bit more legit to me.
I believe this 100%. You know, it's like Jimmy. He was on top of the world for a little bit, not being a champion, but being on top of the world in the rankings, and then had a really, really long climb back down. So this one is like he just seems like he's not really into it anymore. He's just getting knocked out. So I mean, this one I'm like, okay, yeah, fair enough, man. You're not really keeping up with the rest of the pack right now. So best of luck to you wherever you go next, kind of thing.
Right, yeah. 3 of his last 4 fights coming via knockout. 3 of his last 4 fights were losses, and all 3 coming via knockout. Yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough to see. But he gave us some good memories. I mean, his fight against Ova St. Preux is one that comes to mind. That was a really exciting win. Of course, Corey Anderson, but. Yeah, but what do you think Jimmy Manoa's legacy will be? Or do you think he'll be kind of one of those guys that flies under the radar now that he's going to be out of the UFC?
He's going to be one of the guys for a lot of UFC fans. He's going to fly under the radar. I'm always going to remember Jimmy, because he gave great fights. But I think he's going to sadly fly under the radar. He's just going to be one of those guys that almost got it but didn't. But then he didn't really have a crazy name either. So he's just going to fly under, and here in a few, I would say about a year and a half, no one's going to be talking about him anymore.
It's sad too. Yeah, because he was one of those guys, like if you're not a big UFC guy or MMA guy rather, and you're watching a UFC card, and he's on the card, and you're watching the weigh-ins or something, and you see that guy, and you're like, wow, that dude looks like he's a badass, because he's got one of the best physiques in the game, and he turned a lot of heads, but it just didn't manifest.
No.
Especially when you're on pay-per-views or fight cards and people are seeing you get knocked out, it's tough. But let's talk about Alexander Rakic for a second. What do you think about him? Where are you at on him as a prospect right now?
I think I honestly put him in a category just like with Johnny Walker at this point. He's shown some pretty good like this last fight was amazing. I believe he lost just to the Clark the fight before this.
No, he only has one loss. He's 12-1 right now.
No, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong thing. But yeah. So, in the UFC, he's doing pretty good for himself. Like, I'm just looking, he's won his last 4 fights in the UFC. I was kind of looking at him as a prospect more of like like a Johnny Walker, like I was saying. Not quite on the hype train yet, but definitely if he keeps on improving and growing, I'm definitely going to see him probably challenge, not for the belt, but challenge top contenders here real soon. So I'm keeping my eye on him. I'm not jumping on him like I did with Israel, but I'm keeping my eye on him for sure.
We'll see. I mean, he's an Austrian. He's an Austrian guy too. Are there any other Austrian fighters that you could think of that have notoriety?
Not off my memory.
Yeah, not off the top of my head. So he could bring some eyeballs to that market too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, wow. He made a highlight. That was one fight that was trending on Twitter. You know, when I was checking my Twitter feed, I was like I just kept seeing Rockets trending. I was like, oh boy, what happened? You know,
right.
And you see that knockout, and wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy,
sure.
Oh boy. That's what one that people are talking about. That's one that you could put on highlight on video packages before fights. That he'll have a moment for sure. That'd be part of his legacy.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, was there anything else from this card any other fights from this card that stood out to you?
I watched the rest of the card, man, and the rest of it I was kind of like tuning in and out, not really worried about it. The only other fighter I was really worried about was Evinger, and she lost. So nothing really much to talk about that.
Yes, sir. Well, let's see. Let's get into some news.
All right.
Let's see. Where do we start, man? I guess we should start with the booking of. We now know Khabib Nurmagomedov's next opponent, and it's going to be the interim champion the interim lightweight champion Dustin Poirier. Is going to take place UFC 242 on September 7th. This is a fight that a lot of people didn't think was actually going to happen, right? Like, this is one that you're like, is Conor going to get the next fight? Is he going to fight Khabib next? Or is it going to be the winner of Ferguson Cowboy? Are they going to skip Poirier? Like, what's going to happen here? But I'm glad to see that it was actually booked.
Oh, same here. I was like, if they don't book this fight, I'm about to lose all faith in UFC and interim titles. But I'm happy to see this book, man. But Abu Dhabi, right?
Yeah, Abu Dhabi.
Oh my gosh, Dustin Poirier, that poor soul, man, has nothing. When it comes to like hometown advantage or feeling comfortable in the area, he's got nothing when it comes to that. But yeah, I tell you, man, I think this is gonna be a better fight than what people think, though. Like before the Max Holloway fight, I was sitting there, I was like, okay, if Dustin fights Khabib, it's gonna be like Khabib's just gonna do his thing. But after watching what he did with Max and the work he did and the work output he had, I mean, for 5 rounds, it was just nothing but go, go, go from Dustin. Like, and he showed his stamina was there and his cardio. So I'm a little bit more intrigued in this fight because we've seen Khabib get a little tired before. We've seen that happen, with the Ally Quinta fight, and we saw Khabib not able to get takedowns as easily. Dustin, amazing takedown defense. So I'm really excited to see what might happen. Like, I'm not really worried about the first few rounds, but once we get to round 3, 4, and 5, I think that's where we're going to see if Dustin's going to win, where the separation is going to start to happen.
Do you think his takedown defense is that good to stop Khabib though?
No. So here's the thing. I will not say that. I would say you're fighting Khabib, you will get taken down, but Dustin's really good off his back as well. But I also think Dustin's going to be able to get back up. So I mean, Conor got up a few times. Dustin's going to get up a few times for sure. It's just I think for either of these gentlemen, this is late game game plans for these guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be one that comes down to attrition. Like once Khabib has really nothing left in the end of the third to the beginning of the 4th round, after he's just attacking Poirier like an animal, and then maybe we'll get to see them stand and trade. But because that's what Khabib likes to do, right? He likes to beat you up the first 2 rounds, ground and pound, and then he likes to do it on the feet. So,
a little bit, yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. We know Poirier is a cardio king, as we saw in his fight with Max Holloway. He didn't really look gassed at all in that fight, so it's one to keep an eye on, for sure.
Right.
But from like a promotional standpoint, do you think that the UFC really wanted to book this fight? Do you think deep down they were hoping that Conor would sign on the dotted line?
I don't think so, honestly, because Conor, even though he hasn't fought and it doesn't look like he's going to fight for a while, he's kind of shimmering out of the light a little bit, but he's still their number 1 guy when it comes to pay-per-view sales and stuff like that. So I don't understand. I think their thinking was, why would we put him against Khabib again, who just mauled him pretty badly the first time? So I think they're kind of looking for another fight, possibly with Tony, Cowboy, something like that. A big highlight name fight, but without the dangers of losing more name recognition by having him fight Khabib.
Yeah, I think it makes the most sense. Like, I think it made the most sense to do this. You gotta give value to the interim belt, right?
Right.
If you're just skipping over guys that are the interim belt, what does it matter? What does it matter then?
What's the point, right?
Yeah, you're just cheating the fans and saying, "Oh, we're having a title fight on this card," even though it's not actually a title fight.
Right.
Let's see. In other news, Johnny Walker, who we just talked about, is medically cleared to return.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is next for him?
Well, he called out he wants Glover Teixeira, which I'm sitting here low key going, no, don't do that. I'm always terrified, like when you give these guys like top opponents, because Johnny Walker, is he even in the top 15 yet?
Yeah, he is.
He is? Okay, cool.
Yeah, he is number 12 right now.
So number 12 and Glover. Oh shoot! Oh wow, Glover's number 10. Shit, the fight makes sense. Crap. Okay, cool. It's just scary seeing these new up and comers go against like legends like Glover and stuff, or even Latifi or something like that. Especially with a sense like Johnny Walker, we've already got, he's a knockout artist, right? So, I mean, this is going to be really a big test if he gets this fight to see how he does versus a hardcore wrestler. Also, Glover's got some hands as well. We saw that in his last fight. So I'm scared for if this happens, I'm scared for Johnny, but I think it's going to be a banger though if it does happen.
Yeah, anytime Johnny Walker is fighting, I think most people would be super excited. And knocking down a guy like Glover Teixeira, knocking him off, that would really cement him in the eyes of a lot of people who are saying, I don't know if he's the legitimate contender. If he beats a guy like Glover Teixeira, those doubts would be gone.
Oh, for sure.
People would be looking at him as a potential top 5 guy in the division.
Mm-hmm.
But will it happen? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Glover wants to fight. He said he's not slowing down anytime soon. I guess the prospect of a Brazilian versus Brazilian fight is also exciting too.
Right. I mean, it could be almost like an Anderson Silva with now I'm stretching here a little bit, but like Anderson Silva of Israel, where he's like passing the torch on. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it could be almost like that kind of moment. Although I don't want to see it, but
why don't you want to see it?
I don't know, man, because I like Glover, and I think this could be it. Like if Glover, it's a good chance to see how good Johnny really is. But I get like Glover's a beast. Glover is Glover, but I can honestly see Johnny Walker doing one of his highlight KOs because Glover can't get knocked out. We saw that. So I think this is a dangerous fight for Johnny, but also pretty dangerous for Glover when I say that. But it's just kind of a beast of Glover that they're going to feed him if this does happen. But I don't know. It seems different to me than the Israel Anderson fight. It really does, just because people looked at that fight as that kind of way, and I don't think they're going to look at this fight the same way.
No, I agree with you, man. Johnny Walker he also mentioned the potential of fighting Dominic Reyes and Alexander Rakic. So I don't know if he'll get one of those fighters. Rakic makes a little bit more sense than Dominic Reyes. I don't know if they're going to give him a top 5 guy. But, I mean, I wouldn't rule out the Rakic fight either. So I guess that remains to be seen what's next for Johnny Walker.
Yeah, I really hope that doesn't happen, though. Like, you got 3 prospects right now. Don't put them against each other. Let them, all 3 of them grow until they get to the top 5.
Yeah, that's definitely a way to go.
Exactly, because the way they're looking, they're all going to get there. Like, they're all going to get up there pretty soon.
Yeah, have him beat a guy like Glover. Well, you also got to keep in mind, too, at the light heavyweight rankings, you got to factor out Gustafson and Jimmy Manuwa, too.
Right.
So that'll open up some room. But
for sure.
Let's see. In other news, I guess we got to talk about the Golden Goose, right? We were just talking about him a minute ago, but Justin Gaethje called out Conor McGregor in a not suitable for work rant on Twitter. So this is what Conor had to say. He tweeted this on June 1st. Boxing is great. I'm going to relish another go. I challenge Juan Manuel Mayweather to a rematch under the tutelage of my old club. We'll see then, mate. And this is Justin Gaethje's response. Do it the right way, pussy. Stop shitting on the integrity of the sport. You want Habib again, you fight me, or the winner of Cowboy and Ferguson, or you get the fuck out of here and enjoy all that money.
Oh, Gaethje, I love Gaethje.
Yeah, he's very Cerrone like, right? He's like I just want to fight, like, you know.
Right. Golly. I mean, to me, that's just like a stop holding up the division kind of thing. You know, because even though this fight with Dustin did happen, you're right, though. Everyone was sitting there like, oh, is Conor getting thrown in there? I think people are just tired of that whole, like, we can throw Conor in at any time. To me, that's just like, fucking fight one of us or get the fuck out.
Right. And I think a fight with Gaethje and McGregor makes sense. I mean, they're I believe they're ranked 2 and 5 respectively.
Yeah, 3 and 5.
3 and 5. So I mean, they're the only top 5 guys without action. Everyone else has been booked. So why not put them together? You know, that'd be a banger of a fight. And
oh my gosh,
I think Justin Gaethje would come away looking pretty good, even at win or lose.
Low key, I do favor Gaethje in that fight. I don't know why. I just do, bro.
I don't know, because Gaethje likes to get in your face and brawl. I don't know if that's the best way to approach a Conor fight.
I don't know. Have we really seen a good brawler though fight Conor?
I mean, he fought Max in his early days.
A very young 21-year-old Max and a very young Dustin Poirier.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head that as a brawl. Oh, he fought Eddie Alvarez.
We don't talk about that fight.
Yeah, that didn't go as planned for anyone involved.
No, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I don't know. Gaethje's style is so much different than Eddie Alvarez, though. But let's be honest, man. Eddie Alvarez fought a lot different against Gaethje than he did against Conor. So like his footwork and his aggressiveness wasn't there. Like it seemed like Alvarez was a little flat-footed, maybe a little intimidated. Gaethje ain't gonna give that shit though. Gaethje gonna get right in your face, put you against the fence, and start throwing hammers. Which,
yeah, the prospect of that fight is super exciting. Just thinking about it. You know, I highly doubted it would happen, but
oh no, it won't happen.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Gaethje moving forward here as we continue running through the card that's upcoming this Saturday night. So apparently Nate Diaz is done with the the lightweight division. Did you see that he was on the Ariel Helwani show and he said he's done. He's staying at welterweight if he fights anymore. If he continues to fight.
I did see that. Yeah, I'm not really surprised to be honest either.
I'm not either. I don't see if he doesn't need to cut the weight. Why would he?
Exactly, and it seemed like both of the Diaz brothers was like, "I'm fucking done working, man. I just want to fight." So Nate Diaz, he got cut to 170 real quickly. You know, he's like, I just want to bang, bro. So just let him bang.
I don't even know if he really wants to fight. I just think he wants to get paid.
I mean, either way, man, we're getting a good fight out of this, and he's getting money. So.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he's gonna fight Pettis, and he's gonna fight Anthony Pettis, and that's gonna be a good one. Yep. But the Nate Diaz effect is a real thing. You know, he's shown other fighters that hey, you can stand up and play hardball, and at some point the UFC will give in and give you what you want.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, we saw that, and that's a good example. You know, I think Miocic is another example of that. I think Miocic kind of lucked out that the Brock Lesnar fight didn't happen, but you know that's exactly what these guys are doing. They're playing hardball, and they're like, no, I'm not gonna fight until I get what I want. So, I just like to see that the fighters have a little bit more power, you know, because this is different than football or soccer or something like that. This is a individual sport where one fight can really change a fighter's lives. You know, the Saints, they lose two games in a row, nothing changes. They're all still gonna get paid. You know, to a fighter, if they get a bad matchup that they don't want or they're not getting what they need, you know, this affects their livelihood. So I hope they start giving fighters more power in that position.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know, with the ESPN deal, that makes the whole money situation and payouts even all the more of a gray area than it already was or
Right.
is. Um, yeah, was that? Do you have anything else for news? I mean, there was not really the most exciting week for news. Any fights that were booked that you were excited about, or any news?
There's 2 fights that did get booked, and there's 1 fight that is a call out. Andre Arlovsky is game booked versus Ben Rothwell.
Okay.
A small minor one. I think that's exciting because I love both of those fighters. A little older, out of their prime, but still fun to watch. John Lineker got booked again
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, he's stepping in.
versus Rob Font.
Yeah. What do you? I mean, I'll ask you about the first fight, Arlovsky and Rothwell. What do you think about that?
Well, they're both out there fine. Andre did lose his last fight. I don't know if you watched it though. Andre looked. Were you? Wait, I think you were there.
Yeah, I
for that
saw
fight.
it. Yeah, I was there for that one.
Like Andre did lose. A lot of people thought he won though, and it was a really good showing by Andre. In my opinion, he looked pretty dang good in that fight.
He did. He definitely did.
He did. He looked a lot different than he did in his fights before. It just kind of sucked that the judges didn't swing his way. Which I mean, I can't get mad at that. You leave it up to the judges, whatever's going to happen, which sucks. So I'm excited to see Andre back in there because if he looks like he did last time, it's going to look pretty good. Ben Rothwell, of course, the crazy fat man that he is. It's always fun to see him in there. I didn't watch his last fight, but he lost to Igor. Is that his name?
Yeah, Ivanov.
Igor. Holy crap.
Igor.
Igor. He lost to Ivanov, which no shame losing to that guy. Honestly, the guy, he was a prior champion in another promotion, right? So.
Let me see. I believe he was. Let me see.
It's either one championship or Bellator.
No, World Series of Fighting. He was the
World
heavyweight
Series of
champion.
Fighting. Yep. So he's a prior champion. So in my opinion, nothing lost by losing to him. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. I think this is kind of for Andre, kind of a last ditch effort to possibly get his name back into the winning column, keep his name relevant. Ben Rothwell, I think for him, this is just just another fight for him. He just got back from suspension, just lost. So I think this fight's a little bit more for both these guys, kind of like a career-defining fight for them. Like who's going to be able to stay in and who's going to be getting cut, kind of thing.
And they're both, like you said, they're both out of their prime.
Mm-hmm.
This is a rematch too. Arlovsky beat Rothwell when they faced back in 2008.
2008. Holy mackerel!
When they were both fighting for Affliction. Yeah, Arlovsky knocked him the fuck out.
Different Arlovsky nowadays, though.
Huh?
Different Arlovsky nowadays, though.
Oh yeah. So, and then the other fight that you were talking about, John Lineker got his wish. Remember he was saying, give me a fight or release me. And he's stepping in. And who is it that he's fighting?
Rob Font.
Rob Font. I don't know a whole lot about him. Do you know much about him?
I do not. I know that he did beat. They did fight before. I do know that.
They did. Yeah, they did. Let me see.
Rob Font's now at rank 12, and Lineker's still at 10. So let me.
Yeah, he's stepping in for Cody Stamen, who was forced out with an undisclosed injury. That fight is going to be headlined by Korean Zombie versus Renato Moicano. That's going to be a fight.
Lineker won their first fight by decision.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for this one, man. I'm glad to see Lineker get a fight. Because he was complaining the first time. What we were talking about last week. He's complaining because he's like, the guy I just fought. He's fought 4 times in the last year, and I've fought 4 times since 2016. And I know it's not. And he was like, it's not because I'm not asking for fights. It's because they're not giving me fights. So he's like, if you're not going to let me fight, don't use me. So I'm glad that they finally gave him a fight. Because honestly, if he's willing to fight, and it seems like he's willing to fight anyone, it doesn't seem like people want to fight him though.
They're scared of him.
I wouldn't. I'm 190 pounds. I wouldn't want to fight John Lineker. You kidding me?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. He looks like a beast. He's a smaller guy, yeah, but he's a legitimate badass.
Oh, for sure. But I kind of see this playing out the same way though. Honestly, just because Lineker is a savage and he looked really, really good in his last fight.
Yeah, and the cool thing too about Lineker is that he's got good boxing and good jiu-jitsu. So that's always tough.
Right.
You know, shout out to Corey Sandhagen for getting that big win. That was, you know, that just looks really good on his resume.
Exactly. Even if it was a close fight, like that's huge. That is huge. That's a big name.
What are you looking for though, like from John Lineker or either of these guys, Lineker or Rob Font? Do you think that fight has a lot of like ramifications for the bantamweight division?
To be honest, I'm not really worried about Rob Font. I could care less. Honestly, though, if Rob Font does beat John Lineker, that's gonna kind of the same thing with Rochix, that guy the dude that knocked out Jimmy.
Yeah, Rochix. Yeah,
Rochich. I think this will do the same thing. If he beats John Lineker, that puts his name in the division. Like I'm going to be a well-known guy now. So I think if Rob does beat John, that's going to happen. But I think John, what he needs to do in this one, he needs to show a win in a very decisive way, either dominating for 3 rounds or a knockout to show like, hey, I'm still knocking on this division. I'm not done here yet, kind of thing. I think this is more of a desperation fight for John Lineker though than it is for Rob Font.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, nevertheless, let's get into it. Let's talk about why we're really here, man. We got we got a pay-per-view coming up this Saturday, man. How exciting is that? It feels like we haven't had one in a while.
Oh, I know, man. I am such a giddy little girl for this card, man.
Oh yeah, this card is stacked top to bottom. UFC 238. It's headlined by Henry Cejudo versus Marlon Moraes in a fight for the vacant UFC Bantamweight Championship. Of course, after Mr. EPO TJ Dillashaw relinquished his belt after testing positive prior to his fight with Henry Cejudo for the flyweight belt. On top of that, we also have another title fight. Valentina Shevchenko is defending her women's flyweight championship against Jessica Evil Eye. What a nickname that is.
Right.
And then a featured bout who a lot of people are saying, including Ariel Helwani, he will not let you forget it. He's saying this fight should be the main event. Tony Ferguson versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Tony Ferguson making his big return after about a 7-month layoff since his last fight against, about a 9-month layoff, whatever it was, against Anthony Pettis. And Ferguson looks good. He looks focused. Cerrone looks focused as ever. Wow, man, we talk about a 3-headed monster that we have on this card.
And I am not complaining whatsoever.
Yeah, not to mention we have Jimmy Rivera in action against Peter Yan. Tai Tuivasa is making his return against Blagoy Ivanov. We were just talking about him too.
I know. Like this main card, this is a good main card, man. Tai Tuivasa, I'm excited to see get him back in there. Like, because his last loss was to JDS, which no loss to that.
Yeah, no shame in losing to JDS. There's definitely no shame in that. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's jump into it. Let's start from the top up, from the top down rather.
Okay.
Let's see it. So main event, vacant bantamweight title: Henry Cejudo versus Marlon Moraes. Henry Cejudo is the current flyweight champion, so if he does win this fight, I know a lot of people are skeptical. We've been skeptical now for about a year as MMA fans. What's going to happen with the flyweight division? With the men's flyweight division. Yeah. So, what do you think about this fight? All right. Do you think this is? Sorry, I know you're gonna say something, but do you think this is worthy of like a headliner?
I 100%, bro. I'm one of those guys. I love the flyweight division. I love fights up and down the card. Up and down the weights. So, like, I always found the flyweight division entertaining because to me, like, people got bored of DJ. I was always in awe of how good DJ was. I was always, intrigued of how good DJ was. So I definitely had a different view on it. So I think this is big. It's like a flyweight's moving up to bantamweight. Like, to me, this is a really big fight, and it kind of means a lot, like you said, for the flyweight division. So, I mean, for this, it's weird though, because like if Henry wins this, the flyweight division could go away. If Henry loses this, I think the flyweight division is safe to stay.
Yeah, they kind of the UFC has a backup plan, right? If Cejudo loses, he keeps his belt. And then they have a brand new champion in Marlon Moraes, so they can build the bantamweight division around, and all is right in the world. But then if Cejudo wins, what do you do with the flyweight division? Is it worth vacating the belt and having two guys fight for it? I don't know. But, stylistically, who do you like in this one?
It's really hard to say, because Marlon Moraes is so much the bigger guy. He's a huge 135, bulky. Yeah. He's not so much tall, but bulky as can be, man. But, I guess the same could be said for Cejudo, though, at 125. He's a bulky 125er. To be honest, though, if you're going on paper, I would say, you have to give the edge to Marlon Moraes. Just because of his size, his power, and he's got good grappling and really good striking. But something for me, man, it's telling me that Cejudo's going to take this fight.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've been picking Cejudo. It's just a guy that beat arguably the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, Demetrius Johnson. It's hard to bet against someone like that. No matter what, even though it's a different division, I get that. It's 135, not 125. But he went in there and he beat Demetrius Johnson. That's something that not a lot of people can say. So it's hard to bet against the guy just for that reason alone.
Oh, and not just that, man. Let's not forget, he beat arguably the best bantamweight of all time as well, on EPO.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, he beat TJ Dillashaw, a doped up TJ Dillashaw in like a minute, whatever it was, 50 seconds, whatever the hell it was.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, man. I was on the whole thing like, okay, they stopped that fight a little early. But the more and more I watch it, I'm like, TJ was kind of out of it. That fight was going to be over real quick anyway. So he beat two of the greatest to ever do it in their divisions. So I'm like, I don't get me wrong, TJ did cut down, but that's big for Henry's corner. That's really a big check mark in his book. So you can't forget that when you're thinking of this fight.
Right, and then you can't overlook Marlon Moraes too. He's no slouch. He let's look at his track record. His last 4 fights, he's on a 4-fight win streak. He beat John Dodson by split decision. He KO'd Aljamain Sterling with a very, very classic knee, and then he KO'd Jimmy Rivera, and then he submitted Rafael Asuncayo. So,
exactly. It's crazy, man. These are, in my opinion, these two guys, this is one of them, it might sound weird. This is a title fight I'm really excited for. I haven't been excited for a title fight in a long time. I'm wrong. We've had some good ones, like T. Wood and the Kamaru Usman and some fights like that. But I'm like, okay, cool. It's a title fight. This one, though, I'm really excited for just because of what we just explained about these two guys. They have some body of work behind them. These are really good, high-level athletes with big names now. And, you just brought it up. And it's like, I was sitting here thinking, Cejudo's going to have a big advantage on the ground. But you just brought to I just remembered. He submitted a Sun Sao.
Yeah.
So both of these, and we know Cejudo's got hands too. So it's like, neither of these people seem like they have a really huge edge in any place of where the fight could take place. That's why I'm so excited for this. It's going to be almost an even match other than size everywhere else you go.
Yeah, that's the fascinating part too. Like you said, they're both so evenly matched. And, the reason why I asked if you think this is worthy of the main event is because a lot of people, like I mentioned earlier, they're looking at Tony Ferguson and Donald Cerrone as the main event. And I don't think you can overlook this fight.
No, not at all.
Yeah, Tony Ferguson and Cerrone is going to be great. It could be fight of the year. It might be fight of the night. There's a lot of things going on in that fight. But to overlook Henry Cejudo and Marlon Moraes, I think is silly.
Exactly, man. Don't get me wrong. I love Tony and Cowboy, like we just said. But these guys are fighting for a title with big names behind them. One of them's a fucking champion, for goodness sakes. Mm-hmm. Let them give the recognition they deserve. I hate how people is hating on this. These guys are legit competitors, and they're fighting for the belt. Don't take that away from them. Don't get me wrong. Tony and Donald are probably fighting for a number 1 contender spot. That's a number 1 contender's fight. This is a championship fight.
Right, and Henry Cejudo, he only has 2 losses in mixed martial arts, and his only 2 losses to Demetrius Johnson and Joseph Benavidez, and those guys are absolute monsters.
Exactly.
Demetrius Johnson, maybe the greatest fighter of all time, for sure the greatest flyweight. Joseph Benavidez is a top contender in that division. So, it's tough to overlook. It's tough to overlook Henry Cejudo, but I'm sure a lot of people are picking Marlon Moraes. I'm curious what the betting odds are. Let me see if I can find that.
The betting odds right now, I know Moraes is a slight favorite. Minus 130 for Moraes and plus 110 for Cejudo. So very close. It's honestly a pick-em fight.
Right, and I think Moraes is the slight favorite just because he is more of a natural bantamweight. But Henry Cejudo he was a big flyweight.
He's a thick boy. He's a thick boy.
Yeah, he's really put on some muscle. He's he's an Olympic wrestler. Marlon Moraes. We know he's a jiu-jitsu and a Muay Thai guy. But do you think this fight is going to be on the ground primarily? Like, this seems like this has the recipe, I think, to be a ground and pound kind of, maybe a quote unquote boring fight.
I think this fight's going to happen everywhere. Honestly, I think if Cejudo is smart, I think that he's going to take this to the ground right away, which I'm okay with. But when it comes to a boring fight, I don't think those kind of fights are boring for me anyway. A lot of people are probably going to see it boring if it ends up being a grappling match. But for me, honestly, I love those kind of things. Just because, like I've said before in other podcasts, I'm a wrestler. I appreciate when I see amazing grappling. So I would love, like, if this turns into a grappling match and we just see who's the best grappler and then striking here and there, I'm going to be okay with that. But I think for Marlon Moraes, though, his game plan is probably to keep this on the feet. If I'm taking a guess at this.
Yeah, me too. I appreciate a good wrestling match. I'm a wrestling fan. I've been a wrestling fan for a long time. I appreciate it too. And this fight I think can happen anywhere. It's gonna be one of those fights that it's gonna be tough. It's tough to predict, as you can see by the betting line. A lot of people may not know who Marlon Moraes is. If they don't know, they should know going into this fight. Like if you're looking at this and you're like, I don't know if I want to watch this fight card. I think you should check out Marlon Moraes and Henry Cejudo. Give them do your due diligence. Watch their fights. They're the real deal, and this main event certainly won't disappoint.
Exactly. Watch this main event. Watch this card.
Oh yeah. Ferguson and Cerrone is what's getting people's eyes on this fight card. But I think the one that will have everyone talking is Cejudo and Moraes when it's all said and done. Yeah, so you're picking Cejudo. I'm picking Cejudo. Yep. Look at that, we agree. That's good.
Oh, let's hope that we don't show up disappointed next week.
Yeah, seriously. Let's see. So then in a co-main event, we got Valentina Shevchenko defending her women's flyweight belt against Jessica Evil Eye. What do you think? What do you think about this fight? I know a lot of people are looking at the women's flyweight division and they're kind of like, Valentina's probably going to dominate. Are you part of that narrative?
A little bit. But this is fighting though. You can't really say that anyone's gonna win. I mean, shit, Matt Serra knocked out GSP. Like, crazy stuff happens in this sport. So I'm not gonna count out Jessica Eye. I never count out somebody in a fight. But Valentina is probably going to win 100%. I mean, the betting odds is crazy. Valentina is a negative 1,375 versus Jessica Eye at plus 900.
And I was watching some interviews with Jessica Eye. She is relishing in being that heavy underdog.
Which, some people relish in that. They love that kind of stuff. So, I mean, look at Donald Cerrone. He's been underdog in all of his fights. And he's come out on top pretty decisively in every single one of them. Some people just love the underdog slap, man. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, man. If Jessica Eye comes out and she ends up beating Valentina, I'm going to be like, well, that was flipping cool, bro. Like, I'm not going to be bothered by it. Like, I mean, honestly, I feel bad to say this. I'm not really bothered by the 125-pound women's division. I'm more interested in the 135 and 115, just until there is more competition or more names in the 125-pound division.
Right, yeah, like you said, just on paper, it doesn't look like anyone is going to stop Valentina.
Exactly.
It just doesn't look like it. The way she absolutely dominated JJ in her last fight.
I know, man.
And then the way she dominated Holly Holm way back before then, Juliana Pena. I mean, her 2 of her 3 losses have come to Amanda Nunes, and Amanda Nunes is clearly a lot bigger than her.
Exactly.
And it's
like,
Amanda Nunes, for God's sake.
I mean, she fucking knocked out Cyborg. Like, you can't use that against a fighter. You can't use that against Valentina. In my opinion, those fights don't happen. That didn't happen just because it's like, you know, it's like if I go out and fight Mike Tyson, is anyone really going to use that against me if I fight somebody else? Like, wow, he lost to Mike Tyson, bro. Like, he's not that good. It's like, no. She fought a killer, man. She fought a killer and lost.
And she went to decision twice with her.
In very close fights. People thought she won both fights. People thought she won one of them. Like, so, and being the smaller, more technical female versus the, I hate to say brute, but that's exactly what Amanda Nunes is. She's a technical knock you out. It's a scary fight for her.
That's a girl that went in there and knocked out Cyborg in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
And Valentina took that girl to decision twice.
Exactly.
So I mean, Valentina is an absolute killer, and this is where she fits at 125.
Yes.
She didn't really fit at bantamweight. So now as far as Jessica Ai goes, do you know a lot about her?
I do know a little bit about her, a little bit. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know a lot about her because I'll be lying. I just know at this point she does deserve the title fight. I do know that.
Yeah, she's coming off 3 wins in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see what she could do with it, though. I mean, she hasn't fought in quite some time. It's been since December. People are sleeping on her, definitely for sure. As clear as it is in the betting line, people are sleeping on her. And I don't know a lot about her, so I'm going into this with an open mind. You know, I'm not one to look at any fight and say, "Oh, this person's gonna win," just because I know who they are.
No, exactly. I mean, honestly, if we was to do that, Cejudo should have got blasted by DJ the second time. Like, but that didn't happen.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So you can't go in there with that mentality. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people look at a fight and they're like, Valentina got that. You know, that's the girl that beat JJ. So she's gonna win this. Not necessarily the case. You know, I watched some footage of Jessica Ai. She didn't look great. She didn't look great in some of her fights. You know, like she had that really tough loss to Miesha Tate. She's been around for quite some time, but she's come back, won 3 in a row. And do you think that she's getting the shot here just because she's, you know, she came from a different era, and she has a little bit of name value compared to some other girls in that division?
No, well, she's beat the top girls in her division.
Right.
I mean, she's ranked number 1. You know, you put number 1 versus the champion. That's how it should go. I don't think it's because of name power. How it should go. You can't do name power though. I mean, crap. I mean, if you go by name power, shit. Never mind. There's not a lot of name power in the flyweight division. Oh gosh.
Yeah, aside from Paige Van Zandt.
You got it, Paige. But I don't think it's name power, man. I'll be honest. No one knows Jessica Ai. And I hate to say it because I do know a little bit about her, and I'm a hardcore. So, I mean, the casuals don't know her. So it can't be name power, honestly.
Yeah, there you have it. All right.
Facts by legacy.
Yes, he's speaking facts out here. Well, let's talk about the fight that everybody really wants to talk about. This is why we're here, man. Let's be honest. You know, this is it here. This is as good as it could possibly get. Tony Ferguson, like I said, at the top, making his return, facing Donald Cerrone. Man, Cerrone just ages like fine wine.
I know, bro.
He's fighting more than ever. He looks as good as ever. He's coming off a gigantic win, and it was only last month. A gigantic win over Ali Aquinta. When was that fight? The first week of May?
Yeah, I believe so.
It was,
yes.
Yeah, May 4th. So he's literally like just over a month and 4 days removed from an incredible fight with Ali Aquinta. He's stepping in there to face Tony Ferguson. Seemingly, this is a number 1 contenders fight at lightweight. That's what it's looking like. The winner of this fight is going to face the winner of Khabib and Poirier, and I'm glad to see everybody in the top 10 in the lightweight division in the mix. You know, I'm super happy to see it, and nobody's holding out except for the Golden Goose, of course. But yeah, man, I can't say enough about this fight. You know,
I mean,
what you gotta say, man?
I don't know, man. I'm just pumped. That's all it is. You know, and it's like the big thing. Cowboy's been doubted in his last 4 fights, but he's been undefeated ever since he became a father. Which, you know, it's kind of a joke and kind of turned into a meme, but I think it's a real thing, man. The dude has something to fight for, and he wants to be a champion now. I mean, so it's crazy to me. And you know, people keep down Cowboy, and he's supposed to on paper lost every single one of these fights, but he's come out ahead with flying colors. But Ali Quinta is not Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson, we all know him. He's a crazy mother trucker who does crazy crap, says weird things, wears sunglasses inside. He does what he wants. And he's got a really style. He's really, and one thing I like is small, but people don't realize, you know, he's really unorthodox now. He utilizes leg locks. He utilizes elbows. He utilizes everything. He punches weird. He doesn't go straight down the pipe. So it's a crazy fight, you know. And for me, two things are going to be kind of thing. Tony gets hit. We do know Tony gets rocked. I mean, we saw it with him versus I believe Kevin Lee rocked him. His last fight, Anthony Pettis had him really bad hurt and almost finished the fight at that one point. So Tony can't get rocked. Cowboy can definitely rock people. Like he didn't rock Al, but that's Al Iaquinta. He's literally a bulldog that goes forward. So no shame on that, but he's knocked out people. He's a knockout artist. He's got the most wins, and he's got the most finishes and the most wins in the UFC. So to me, it's just like what's going to win. But here's the thing, though. Cowboy doesn't like to move his head. I mean, I think this is very public. Like, he didn't really move his head a lot in the Al fight. He did move his head at right times, but he's kind of got this thing where I'm going to keep marching forward with my Muay Thai stance and keep moving forward. So it's hard for me to pick a winner, bro. I'm not going to lie. It's really hard for me to pick a winner because paper-wise, it's like, go for Tony. Tony's the obvious winner. Going by, if you don't use my fighter math, though, I'd have to give it to Donald. I don't know who to choose. This is going to be one of those fights where I'm just going to sit back and enjoy and hope Donald Cerrone wins.
So you're rooting for Donald Cerrone.
I'm rooting for Donald, but I'm not picking a winner.
Oh, you know, that reminds me. I'm going to jump back real quick. So are we both picking Valentina in the co-main?
Yeah.
yeah, I'm picking Valentina too. But yeah, so we like you talked about Ferguson's unorthodox style. But see that might be a problem for Cerrone. But after the way he kept Al Iaquinta at bay, you know, right. Al Iaquinta could barely hit him. Yeah, he hit him here and there, but he was coming at him, and Cerrone just kept him at bay, just mixing up his game of head kicks and leg kicks and punt and jabs. I don't know. I don't know if that game plan is going to work against Tony Ferguson, though, because Ferguson's not going to be like Al Iaquinta and stop attacking when he gets hit. He's just going to walk through that shit and just hit him right back. So it could be a recipe for disaster if Cerrone tries to do the same game plan, don't you think?
Well, I don't think he will, though. He's coming to these last few fights with different game plans. I mean, with Al, it was kind of, you know, he kept a good stance and was kind of trucking forward, and to the point where he had Al on the back foot moving backwards. And then Alexander Hernandez. He fought Alexander, dangerous young kid, let's be honest. With the right punch, he could probably knock out most people in the lightweight division. But Donald Cerrone kept his distance and is comboed off on him. Very different fighting style than what he did with Al. So I think Donald Cerrone is going to have a good recipe and have his best game plan against Tony. But also, Cowboy is going to be one that probably is going to switch game plans on the fly and not stick to the same thing if it's not going to work. So he's going to go into this fight fighting differently than he fought Al.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%. And you know, you mentioned Ferguson's fight with Anthony Pettis. Do you think Ferguson kind of looked past Pettis a little bit?
I think so. I think he kind of looked at, like, don't get me wrong, Anthony Pettis is always fun, going for the show, like the highlight reels and stuff like that. You know, he did against Wonderboy. But I think Tony was kind of going for the same thing, you know, and it was working, but then Pettis caught him, and I think Tony was like, oh, wow, you know what I'm saying? Which it doesn't matter if he's looking past him or not, because the punch that he hit him with that rocked him, the punch or kick, I don't remember, the strike that he hit him with, Tony had good defense at that point. You know, he wasn't really going wild. It just is just that wow. What's the guy's name?
Yeah,
Pettis.
who?
Pettis.
Pettis.
Pettis smacked him with a good strike while Tony's defenses were up. So I don't think it was the fact that he looked past him. I think it was a fact of like he didn't expect Pettis to have that power, and then we got hit by it. He was like, "Oh wow, holy shit! Okay, I'm taking this to the ground, and I'm done with this crap."
Yeah, I like how you could have remember his name.
That was the biggest brain fart I've ever had in my life, man.
Oh, another question I have going into this fight too, and I think another real talking point that a lot of people are not necessarily looking at is, and I alluded to it earlier. Cerrone's fought a lot. He's already fought. He's fought. Let's see. He's fought 3 times in the last 6 months. This will be his 4th fight in 7 months, and he's literally, like I said, 34 days removed from fighting Ally Quinta. That's got to come into play, right? At his age, and how can he do it at his age and just come off a war with Ally Quinta, then just get right back into it and accept a fight with Tony Ferguson?
I mean, it really depends on the person. I think what we've seen Cowboy do his best, especially right now. I mean, he's just going. I mean, to be honest, man, so he's fought 4 times. He's going to be fighting 4 times in the last 7 months.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of time to take breaks in between camps, if at all. So he's literally just been going the last 7 months. Fight camp, fight, maybe a week, fight camp, fight, just getting ready back and forth, back and forth. So I think that's where Donald Cerrone thrives, though. I think we saw him have his most issues is when he does have a layoff and he gets his mindset off of fighting. So I think he's on track right now. Don't get me wrong, man. I don't know how old is he. He's close to his 40s, right?
Yeah, he's 36.
So he's 36. Yeah, he's older, but he's also in better shape than most 36-year-olds. I mean, for some, depending who you talk to, the age of 32 to 36, 37 is the prime time of people's lives. So, we could be seeing prime Donald Cerrone. I hate to say it because he looks older. Honestly, I think he looks older than what he actually is. But I think in this case, it's good for Cerrone because he's able to go from fight camp straight into I'm still in fight mode. I'm going to keep on working.
I guess we'll see. We'll see how that plays out because I don't know if he's going to be. Ferguson's obviously going to be the fresher guy coming in. Right. Having a better part of the year off, and yeah, we saw them at the presser today, and yesterday where Ferguson was doing the b-boy moves and he was saying all his crazy shit, man. He said and then he also said his family is back in his life.
Right.
So hopefully now with his family on his side, Ferguson will look better than ever too. But
I mean, yeah, but that's a point of you bring him up with Cowboy with how he's going. Another point though, of this fight, where's Tony's head at?
Right.
How healthy is he actually? So I mean, I'm not going to try to sit here and talk about mental illness and stuff, but depending on if Tony's actually healthy or not, that could be a big point in this fight as well. If he's actually good to go, or if he's really good at doing what he does. Yeah,
we'll see. I mean, hopefully he had a good training camp. I don't think he would accept this fight if he didn't have a good training camp going in. But it's finally here. It feels like this month that we've been waiting for this fight feels like it's been forever. Yep. And if I gotta pick someone, I'm gonna pick Tony Ferguson.
Right.
It's hard to bet against him. He's won his last 7 fights, whatever it is.
Right.
He's on a 3, 4. He's on a 13 fight win streak. Oh no, I'm sorry, 11 fight win streak. It's hard to bet against a guy like that. That's a ridiculously long win streak. The longest active win streak, I believe. It's just hard to bet against him with that stuff.
Right. No, I get that, man. I'm not gonna hate you for that because that's kind of one of the things I'm sitting there like I'm not picking. I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna cause any bad juju on this.
So you're torn on this one, huh?
I'm very torn. I want to edge towards Donald just because he's one of my favorite fighters, but you gotta separate the two, and I can't pick when it comes to that.
Yeah, I respect it. So let's see. Let's talk about another featured bantamweight fight: Jimmy Rivera versus Peter Yan. What do you think about this one?
I'm excited for this one. Peter Yan making a name for himself in the bantamweight division. I believe Peter Yan.
Yeah, bantamweight.
Well, no, not bantamweight. I'm looking at his record. I believe he's doing pretty good for himself right now. Yeah, he does. I'm pretty sure he just beat Dodson, and he's at least on a 3-4.
Yeah, he's got a
He's
bunch
on a
of
4-fight
wins.
win streak. Yeah, he's on a 4-fight win streak right now. Versus Rivera, who kind of fell on hard times a little bit, but against crazy, crazy killers. You know what I'm saying? He's losing to some really good guys.
Yeah, he lost to
He
Marlon
lost to-
Moraes and Aljamain Sterling. No, nothing wrong with that.
Exactly, man. All top 5 fighters. So you can't use that against him. This fight's gonna be really good. I'm really excited for this fight. Quick thing, I just think that Jimmy Rivera is gonna get this. For me, it's really hard to go against Jimmy Rivera just because of the work he's done and how good he is. But Peter Yan, this is gonna be a fight though. This is not gonna be a slouch. Peter Yan might actually make the upset, but my vote on this is Jimmy Rivera.
Yeah, I gotta go Jimmy Rivera too. It's gonna be tough. It's tough to bet against him. He's the more experienced fighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got 25 professional fights. Peter Yan has 13 professional fights, and that doesn't mean a whole lot. You know, and Peter Yan's last win is against John Dodson, and no disrespect to John Dodson, but he's kind of on the back end of his career. He hasn't looked great
Right.
in his last fights, but this could be a showcase for him. If he is able to beat Jimmy Rivera, he's going to go on to he's going to go on to bigger and better things in this division. You know, this fight we could definitely see a future title contender come out of this fight.
Oh, for sure.
Let's see what else we got here. In the main card, we've got Tai Tuivasa making his return after a tough loss to Junior Dos Santos versus Blagoy Ivanov. And Ivanov coming off a win over Ben Rothwell, and he also has a loss to Junior Dos Santos too.
Right.
So that's interesting. These two guys both lost to Junior Dos Santos, but I know you're a big fan of Tai Tuivasa, right?
I love Tai Tuivasa. Just because, you know, his name, Bam Bam, 90% of his wins are by knockout. Like, that's crazy. So I'm just excited for this one. Just because we get to see, you know, not the biggest names in the heavyweight division, but two guys who could start making names for themselves and start climbing up the ranks. Of course, Ivanov being a former champion in another fight promotion. Tai Tuivasa, kind of a prospect almost until he lost to JDS, which no shame in that. Being a prospect and getting thrown to JDS, that's kind of like it's kind of a dick move to do, honestly. So I'm excited to see this this match play out. Neither of these guys are really grapplers either. So this is going to be a kind of a stand and bang fight. If it's going to be a stand and bang fight, man, Bam Bam's got this all the way, I'm hoping. I just think that's how it's going to go. Of course, though, Ivanov has got the experience, which is another thing to bring into it. And also, Ivanov does have submission wins, which he doesn't really have. He doesn't really grapple so much. It just seems like it's more, and when he gets in a good position, he finds himself getting the submission. So it seems like when people go on takedowns on him, that's when submissions come out. And Tuivasa's not going to do that. So I think we're just going to get kind of a stand and bang fight here.
Yeah, and I think Tuivasa also has the advantage on the feet. So
yes,
I got to go with him. Man, I got to go with him, but there's also another side of me that's thinking, this fight might get dragged to the ground, and I'm not so sure how well he'll hold up on the ground, because he is a boxer. That's his first trade, and when you get in there with a guy who has more experience and is a little bit better of a ground fighter, it doesn't always work out well for the big boxers. But at the end of the day, this is the heavyweight division. This fight probably won't go more than 2 rounds. We'll definitely see a knockout here on this one. There's always a possibility that it could go to decision, but it's not looking likely.
No, not at all.
So let's talk about the prelims. We saw in the face-offs, Aljamain Sterling and Pedro Munoz got a little hot. What do you think about that? We got a ton of talent on this card, and I find it funny that that Aljamain Sterling is actually ranked higher than Peter Yan and Jimmy Rivera, but he finds himself on the undercard.
I think at that point, it's just. I think at that point,
guys are ranked higher. Sorry, go ahead.
So my apologies, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think honestly, it's his name power. I do like Aljamain Sterling, but I think people know Jimmy Rivera more. I think that's what has to do with it. And it's funny too. They're ranked higher, but also Sterling beats Rivera. So I find that's interesting. But I just think it's got to do with name power. Maybe that's about it that I could think of. I mean, because if you go ranking wise, these guys should be in their slot, but I'm not. UFC's UFC. I'm not gonna really dive. I'm not really gonna bother myself with that much.
Yeah, the rankings are kind of silly in the UFC, and I think fight quality too. I think this fight is going to be better than Rivera and Peter Yan as well. I mean, just look at what Pedro Munoz did to Cody Garbrandt in his last outing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's really all I got to say about that.
Exactly.
And Aljamain Sterling is a beast. He could, this fight could potentially be a number one contenders fight for the winner of the main event.
I think that's kind of what this is.
Yeah, yep. I think it is. Maybe they're anticipating someone to pull out. Maybe that's why this fight is on the undercard. I don't know.
It could be. I mean, I would say this, man. You skipped over a heck of a fight, man.
Oh, I was gonna turn back around.
Oh,
yeah,
good to go.
I wanted to talk about this one just because the confrontation that we had. That they had rather. Let's see.
All right.
Yeah.
So who are you picking on that one then?
I'm gonna go with Munoz. I think you knock out Cody Garbrandt. That's something. So.
Oh, for sure. I think Munoz could win the fight, but I'm gonna go with Sterling, man. Sterling, that seems like he's got more options when it comes to finishing the fight. Sterling is really good with jiu-jitsu and submission game. He's also got some knockouts, so I'm gonna go with Sterling on this. I think he's got more options.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, one of us is gonna be wrong for sure. At least we're not agreeing, though. That's good.
Right. If he's agreeing on anything, that'd be boring.
Seriously. So the headliner of the prelims is a women's strawweight contest: Tatiana Suarez versus Nina Ansaroff. This is a fight that's kind of flying under the radar. Not a lot of people are really talking about this one, and the strawweight division is red hot right now, especially after Jessica Andrade's huge knockout over Rose. A lot of people are saying that Michelle Waterson's going to get the title shot because of her looks or her relationship with the UFC, whatever it is. But I think this fight here between Tatiana Suarez and Nina Ansaroff is the number one contenders fight. I think the winner is going to fight Jessica here.
Oh, for sure. And I know about the whole Jessica thing, but Jessica did she did release a statement saying that, not Jessica Andrade, Michelle Waterson. Michelle Waterson did send out a statement while she was talking with somebody how she doesn't want to jump over Tatiana Suarez.
I think she said that on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Did she? Okay, cool. She would rather fight Tatiana if she wins this than get the title shot. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't want to jump over these girls because they are number 2 and 3. So in my opinion, does Michelle deserve a title shot? Yeah, she's close to one, but not when you have this stiff competition above you. So I think Michelle, give her one more fight, then yeah, title shot. But I think the title shot needs to go to one of these two girls, whoever wins this.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know unless they go the immediate rematch route with Rose and they give her the shot, but
which really could happen though.
It could happen. Do you think Michelle Waterson is deserving of getting the winner of this fight?
I think so, man. I mean, if you just go off excitement and stuff and her last wins, I mean, she beat Carolina in her last win, which fought for the title. Michelle's got some good wins under her. Does she deserve a title shot? I think yes. Does she deserve a title shot more than Tatiana Suarez? I don't think so. It just kind of it is really dependent on who is above her at this point, and she's got these ladies in front of her. So I mean, I think this is a point where I think she deserves it, but she needs to wait in line, kind of thing. Kind of like what we're getting a lightweight division right now.
Yeah, a lot of people waiting in line. That's what happens when you have a star-studded division, though. A lot of people are going to be waiting in line. Who do you like though in this matchup between Tatiana Suarez and Nina Answer off.
Tatiana Suarez. Oh my gosh, the woman being compared to Khabib. You know, we've never really seen. Well, you laugh, man, but we've never really seen this style in the strawweight division before. Ground and pound and just mauling. Have we really seen this?
No.
Like no, and she does it so well. I mean, the odds say for himself. Tatiana is a minus 900 favorite over Nina, who is a plus 600 underdog. Like. So, on paper, Tatiana should win this fight, and I'm going for Tatiana. Honestly, I'm not going to be mad if she wins this. I'm not going to be mad if she becomes champion because she is a beast, and she's a very, very, very nice individual as well. So she's a beast, man. I think she's going to take this fight pretty decisively.
Wow, that's a big statement to say decisively. Yeah, I like her too. Honestly, I think she's had tougher fights than Nina has. Not to discredit Nina or anything.
Oh, no.
Claudia Gadelha is no slouch. Angela Hill is no slouch. A lot of the girls that she's fought are no slouches. But I mean, what Tatiana Suarez has done in her time in the UFC in 7 fights, she's dominated every single fight she's had.
Right.
I'm sorry, her 4 fights in the UFC, her 7 professional fights. She dominated her 4 fights in the UFC. Yeah, it's tough to bet against a girl like that.
Exactly.
Let me see. I had something. I completely lost it.
Oh, no.
We'll circle back when it comes back to me. Do you want to talk about the other women's strawweight fight that we have on this card?
I mean, Carolina's fighting, which is another pretty good name in the strawweight division. That's about it, man. It's a pick'em fight, minus 115, minus 105. I think just for this is a fight for Carolina just to kind of be like, hey, like I'm still here. Mm-hmm. I'm still a good contender. Because we saw her on like kind of the same thing with Jimmy a little bit. She was on top of the world, and now she's kind of came on really hard times. So I think because when she fought Waterson in her last fight, a lot of people were like, oh, people were kind of looking at Waterson kind of like her earlier times in the UFC where she was good, but she was never that good in a sense, So when she lost to Waterson, I think she lost a lot of credit, even though Waterson's a lot different than what she used to be. Waterson's a killer now compared to what she used to be. So I don't hold that against her, but I think a lot of people will. So I think Carolina in this one is just a really big fight for her to get back into the grind for the title.
Yeah, I agree. It's a showcase fight in a way, but just because we may not be familiar with Alexa Grasso doesn't mean we can overlook her.
I mean, that's what I'm not picking in this fight just because I don't know where Carolina's head is at after these last few fights.
Yeah, she has not looked good. She has not looked good in her last few fights either.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy to think.
It's crazy because she looks so. She lost versus Joanna, but she looks so good in that fight still, though. And then how she looks now is like just kind of mind blowing of like how quickly a fighter can fall off.
Oh yeah. I mean, even though she won against Felisa Herrig, that was a split decision, and she did not look great either in that fight.
No.
She got the win, but yeah, she didn't look good. Yeah, so let's see. Were there any other fights on this card that got you excited?
I'm looking.
Because I'm looking at the prelims, and I mean, yeah, Angela Hill's fighting. She's fighting Ziana Yan, but is that really a fight that's gonna get people talking? Angela Hill's not the most exciting fighter on the planet,
No. No. But I will say this though, just to show how good this card is. They're having the number 6 and number 2 flyweight women's division start off the card. Like, I know the flyweight's kind of a weak division at this point, but they're having ranked fighters start off the card. I'm just going to say that. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes, sir. Let me see. Yeah, so I mean that's what to watch. That's what to watch out for. If the women's flyweight division is looking to make a name, we got to see something. We got to see something out of those girls.
Right.
We got to see a good fight. If it's one of those fights where people are like, this should be a bathroom break, I'm not sure. That's not going to be a good look for the women's flyweight division, especially with their champion in the co-main event.
No, not at all.
So those two girls, Caitlin and Yoann, and Calderwood, they gotta step up.
Right.
Yes, sir. Before we get out of here, I want to talk boxing for a minute. We wouldn't be a combat sports podcast, right, if we didn't talk about what happened last week in the world of boxing.
Right.
So, for anyone who doesn't know, if you don't know by now, I don't know, you must be living under a rock. Heavyweight boxing champion. He holds every single belt except for one. I don't know which one it is, but Deontay Wilder holds said belt. Anthony Joshua holds all four. He held all four belts, rather. He lost all of his belts to Andy Ruiz Jr. By a TKO victory in the 7th round, where it seemed like Joshua said he was okay, but the ref decided to stop the fight anyway.
Right.
Super controversial fashion. This literally set the internet on fire. People were making fun of Joshua, making fun of Andy Ruiz. Stephen A. Smith is one guy that comes to mind. MMA fans' favorite ESPN analyst, Stephen A. Smith, talked about how Anthony Joshua lost to a fat Mexican or something. I don't know if he said fat Mexican, but he did call Andy Ruiz fat. And a lot of other people on the internet making fun of his heritage and blah, 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 blah. What do you think about the whole thing?
I think, don't get me wrong, Anthony Joshua, is who he is, but people are taking away from Andy Ruiz. Because I follow boxing and all that stuff. Not as well as I want to, but I follow the heavyweight division. Andy is a flippin' killer, man. Like, I hate that they're taking stuff away from him and Joshua both. They're sitting there like, oh, the fat guy got lucky and stuff like that or whatever. This guy, though, is a killer. He's 33-1, 22 knockouts. And his one loss is to Joseph Parker, who people thought he beat. Oh my gosh. It's just crazy to me, man, how people are giving so much hate. Don't get me wrong. Memes are memes. Fun's fun. That's fine. But when actual hatred's coming out, I think people need to relax. Like, Joshua did lose, but he didn't lose to nobody. He lost to an actual killer.
Yeah, he lost to a legitimate heavyweight boxer. A guy,
exactly.
Like you said, he has, 33 wins, right, you said?
Yep.
Yeah, a guy that has 33 wins. Sad. It makes me upset, as a sports fan, to see guys like Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp just throw in ridiculous shade when they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. They're not boxing fans, Mm-hmm. Stephen A. Smith is a basketball expert. Shannon Sharp is an NFL expert. I'd like to see boxing experts talk about things in their world and see how they would react.
Oh, it's a whole new thing though. It's a whole different world though. But since NFL and that kind of stuff is bigger, these guys will get, the boxing experts will get shat on instantly. But just because these guys represent bigger sports, they're cool to do whatever they want and say what they want. Okay, man, you really want to talk that much shit? Get in there with Andy. Get in there with Joshua. Shut your mouth. I hate that so much, man. Mm-hmm. Like, you've never sat foot in their sport. How can you really talk crap? You get hit behind the ear, and let's see how long you're able to stand and defend your title.
Yeah, I think Joshua got knocked down 4 times in that fight. Plus, he knocked down Andy Ruiz once, too. Mm-hmm. And, it's easy to sit there and say because we all know who Anthony Joshua is. He's this big, bad, in shape, fit, looks like a statue,
Exactly.
He carried 4 belts. It's easy to sit there and say, hey, this is an embarrassment because he lost to someone who looks like he doesn't go to the gym and just eats tacos, but the man has 33 wins, and you don't know anything about the sport. Like, you don't cover boxing on a daily basis.
Exactly, man. It's kind of like that thing. Remember when the first card on ESPN and that sports analyst jumped in with DC and we started to talk about it, and he goes, DC, I think he should go for the takedown, and DC's like, no shit. Like, it's that kind of situation where, just stay in your league, man. Stay in your own world, because it seems like combat sports they don't really go into their world and start talking shit. Because
Ariel Helwani does. He talks shit in the NBA world.
Ariel Helwani is he's a special case. Okay?
He's also a fan of the NBA, so it's completely different. It's just like these guys get a pass to go talk about combat sports, and when they do talk about combat sports, you know, they talk about Floyd Mayweather, they talk about Conor McGregor, they talk about Brock Lesnar. You know, they're not talking about like John Lineker and Henry Cejudo, and you know, they don't even know who those guys are. So it's kind of silly that people look at their comments and they're like, oh yeah, you're right. You know, Anthony Joshua got beat by this fat guy because Stephen A. Smith said it. But,
right.
Yeah. Hats off to Andy Ruiz. You know, proud of him. We got a Mexican heavyweight champion, first Mexican boxing heavyweight champion in history.
Yep.
It's an incredible feat. Anthony Joshua's invoking his rematch, so that's gonna be one to watch. Hopefully the winner of that fight finally fights Deontay Wilder.
I mean, dude, that's one thing I was so scared about, because who is the 3 heavyweights we want to see fight each other? Yeah. Tyson Fury, Wilder, and Joshua. If Joshua loses this fucking rematch, man, his promoter has screwed this thing entirely up. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, because people are sitting there like, oh, Joshua's ducking people, Wilder's ducking, Fury's ducking. People don't realize they don't decide who they fight. It's the promoters. You know what I'm saying? So it's like these guys are the 3 best fighters on the world, and you're thinking they're scared of each other? I hate when people say that. They're ducking, they're scared, shut your mouth, whatever. They're giant men who throw punches at each other. They're not scared of nothing. But if he loses to Andy again, we're not going to see Joshua in that picture. We're not going to want to see Joshua versus Wilder or Joshua versus Fury. So it pisses me off, though, because all of us were looking forward to that. Fury, Wilder 2, Joshua Fury, Joshua Fury, whatever.
Wilder Joshua.
Wilder Joshua. We want to see that crap, but his promoter want to go, no, let's fight these easy fighters, and then we'll get to those guys, because they went the money route. Joshua wants to fight the best of the best. Fury wants to fight the best, and so does Wilder. Let them fight. I hate that these promoters do this thing. Like, I wish it's more like UFC in that sense, where they just, I'm going on a rant here like crazy.
Go ahead.
Is my mic cutting out too?
No, go ahead.
Oh, perfect.
You're good.
It just frustrates me, man. I wish they did more like UFC, or just mixed martial arts in general, where they actually just put the best versus the best, and it wasn't all a money fight. That's what a lot of boxing is. That's my biggest issue with boxing. Like, when we have good fights in boxing, like Triple G versus Canelo, I'm like, this is beautiful, because the chances of us getting fights like that very often are slim to none. We're going to get Canelo versus some nobody, somebody versus another nobody, you know, and they thought Andy was a nobody, which when I heard they booked this fight on short notice, I was like, no, what are you doing? This guy is a killer. And you are comfortably saying that Joshua's going to outbox and knock this guy out or go to decision. They played the game too long, and the game caught up, man. Mm-hmm. That's what happened, and now they ruined the dream for the boxers and for the fans. Like, fuck, just put the best people versus the best.
Yeah, that's the problem with boxing, right? That's what makes boxing so hard to follow. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, because you just, like you said, over and over, we don't get the best of the best. We don't get it often.
Exactly.
Yeah, when we do, it's too late. Like Pacquiao, Mayweather, or Lennox Lewis, Tyson. You know, Tyson was way out of his prime. So I hope that we actually get this fight. Well, I hope. Well, supposedly we're getting Wilder Fury 2 sometime later this year. I can't fucking wait for that. And hopefully, if Joshua takes care of Ruiz, we can actually get that back on track, and we can see Joshua face the winner of Fury Wilder 2.
Right. It is crazy, man.
You need some water there, man. You good? You calm?
Got my nicotine.
There you go. Take a hit of the vape. Yeah, that was a super rant you went on there. I see you're very, very fired up about boxing, huh? About boxing promoters and all the shenanigans.
Yeah, I love boxing, man. I love it.
What do you think about the fact that there's like 5 belts in each division?
I think it adds a little spice to it. You know, it's kind of hard though. You know, because like it's kind of crazy because like because you got these different promoters and they're different promotions. It's almost like they're in different promotions. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so hard to get like an ESPN fighter to fight a DAZN fighter. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard to follow sometimes because you're like, well, he's a champion. Wait, no, but Wilder's a champion. it's kind of hard to follow sometimes. So I think they just need to like stick it all together and call it good. Have your promoters, but they all fight under the same roof.
Like they all fight under DAZN or Showtime or whatever.
Or something like that, man.
Yeah, it's super confusing too, because now, especially with Tyson Fury on DAZN and Wilder on Showtime, like how are they gonna fight? I mean, Wilder said it's official. He said he's got the contract signed.
That's gonna be so hard to make, though. I don't think it's that easy. Like, I really don't think it's that easy.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know how do you make sense of that, because DAZN's whole shtick is no pay-per-view. Subscription based fights. So how do everything's streaming there, but then okay, we got to do this fight with Wilder and Fury. Wilder's a part of Showtime. I doubt Showtime's gonna sit there and say, oh DAZN can host this.
No, exactly. Like, Showtime's going to lose money in this in the long run, because if they show it on both platforms, where is everyone going to go?
DAZN.
They're going to go to that free trial on DAZN and call it good. Like, that's it.
Exactly. Or whatever. They're gonna pay the $20 or whatever the hell it is for DAZN compared to $75 and whatever it'll be on pay-per-view. So that's tough. Or they'll just just go to a bar at that point.
Exactly.
If we gotta pay $75 for a fight, that's outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's still so shocking. I watched that fight like 3 or 4 times. Because I couldn't believe it. And I was like, wow, this guy, Andy Ruiz, I never heard of him, but technically he looks so good.
He did. He's a legit boxer, man. Like, he had good head movement, good footwork, and for a big boy, he did not look tired whatsoever.
No.
A gas tank is not his issue at all.
Not at all. And he packed a punch.
Mm-hmm.
He packed a punch. And I would love to see him get in there and mix it up with Wilder.
Oh
Fury.
my god!
I would love to see it too.
I will say this though, my little inside scoop I was talking about before we started this podcast. Did Joshua seem at all out of it at all that night?
He did.
There's a rumor floating around. Of course, Joshua's a fighter. He's not going to make excuses, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a rumor floating around though. He was sparring that week, and he got knocked out. So he might have been concussed already. I'm not saying that as a fact, but pretty good sources are saying that's what happened. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, see, because he went down super easy,
Mm-hmm.
He took a couple punches that he just kept going down 4 times in a row. Right. I gotta sit on that one.
I'm not trying to take anything away from Andy, though. Andy won it. He deserved it. You know what I'm saying? But it was just so weird, because even after the fact, when Wilder's like, yeah, I'm good, and then the referee waved it off. Well, Anthony was just sitting there smiling, like, on the ropes. He's like, okay, whatever.
He was giddy.
Exactly. Like, he was – it was a really odd night when you put all the puzzle pieces together. It was a really odd night. It was almost like, oh, don't worry, man. I'm going to come back to this next fight full and healthy. Like, that's almost how it seemed like for me. But I'm not going to take anything from Andy. That rumor could have been bullshit, but the sources that are saying that rumor are pretty legit.
Are they unnamed sources?
Unnamed sources. It's people from Joshua's gym who are also boxers.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I gotta where did you find this out? Do you have like an inside scoop or?
So, Brendan Schaub tweeted something. He deleted it. I was like, what the heck? Somebody screenshotted it, followed the links, and found the tweets that also were deleted.
Oh, tweets from like someone in his camp?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's so I'm mind blown. I don't even know what to say.
Like, it's just crazy though, because they did a really good job hiding this stuff if no one news is talking about it.
Right,
Which don't get me wrong.
They don't want to talk about it, maybe.
Exactly. It might have been it might got taken off because it's bullshit, but it makes sense. That's all I'm gonna say is it makes sense and it adds up.
I gotta sit on that one, man. That sounds. I don't know. It sounds hard. It sounds hard to believe, honestly.
No, I believe I get that 100%.
Yeah, it's just random stuff. I mean, it's a tweet of a tweet of a tweet, a screenshot of a tweet, and then a link. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe somebody will come out and say something, but you know, I don't know if Joshua's the kind of guy that's going to come out and say, "Hey, I got injured training, I got injured sparring," because he doesn't want to look like he's making excuses.
I mean, exactly. I mean, look at the, for example, like the Conor McGregor-Chad Mendes fight. When Conor McGregor's like, "Oh, I fucked up my knee during that fight." Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And no one believed him until he uploaded his fucking documentary on Netflix where he's training and you actually hear his fucking shit snap. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's another one of those cases. Because it's not like a Cain Velasquez issue. Remember when Cain Velasquez lost to Nagano? He was like, "Oh, it's because my knee gave out." You know, you would think if he said that crap right away, they would have been like, "See, surgery, we told you." Not a word, though. I think this is a different situation. I think something actually happened, but Josh was like, "I'm not going to make excuses, man. This is boxing. I'm going to get mine back."
Yeah, that's a good attitude to have. That's why we love him.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Well, I guess it's time to get out of here. You know.
All right.
It's been a good chat. I really enjoyed your rant. That was pretty legendary. I'm gonna clip that and make a separate video out of it. But yeah. So do you want to plug anything? Go ahead.
So anyone who is watching, I stream UFC 3 and different games on Twitch. Twitch.tv/unnoticed legacy. I'm not streaming like every day, but I do try to get a couple streams in a week. And yeah, I got a YouTube channel, same name, Unnoticed Legacy. I just post UFC 3 and other game content. And yeah, on Twitch, we just like to have MMA discussions a lot with my viewers and just play UFC 3.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, as always, for doing this. Yeah, it's time to get out of here. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Sounds good.